Mhm. Hello. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back. So I know a lot of you who joined the other class, and then when you join this class, you turn off your cameras because you don't want me to call on you to read. And I'm going to say, tough shit. I'm going to just start calling on people. Translators. How do you translate that into your language? Tough. I might just call on you, even if your mic, if your camera is off, to see if you can read. So I'm sorry. So you might as well just turn on your cameras. It's good for you. It's healthy for you. When I first started reading sutra years and years ago, I had this really weird experience. I was just like, I hated it. I was angry. Like anytime I read sutra, I would get pissed off. I was like, this is such a weird thing that's happening to me. I get angry. And then when I was trying to learn Tibetan, I was even angrier. I was like, I don't understand any of this. I was sitting in class and I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what's going on, you know. And I like to imagine that, maybe like I was a librarian in some monastery and you know, the bookshelf fell on me and all the sutras fell on top of me and killed me or something, like all the books. And so I'm mad at the sutras because, I don't know, but there was some weird energy that was around it. It cleared up, but there was some weird energy around it. So what I'm saying is, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because just because you might be a little nervous to read Tibetan, you have to make some weird noises. Some people know it better than others. Don't worry. It's all seeds anyway. Sometimes the people who have the most difficulty in the beginning end up becoming some of the best translators. Okay. So there just might be some weird obstacle in the way. Okay. Anyway, that was such an inspirational speech that two people turned on the camera. Great. So there we go. Three. Nice. Okay. Don't worry. You can just pretend your microphone doesn't work. You know, chasing toddlers. I get it. Actually, I don't get it, but I have children. I have cats. I have to chase them at night because I don't want to commit. Um, I know. Don't worry about it, Ushan. If you don't know how to pronounce it, just make noises. That's how babies learn. Like if you've ever raised children or been around children trying to learn, they just make weird noises and they tell you stories, right? And you're like, oh, that's so interesting. So just relax. Okay, where are we? I want to get through a certain amount of text today because I just want to. Um, we're in the middle of finishing up this section on all the conditions you need to have ready for meditation. Like just to be able to meditate, what do you need? We haven't even learned anything about meditating. We haven't learned how to do it. We haven't learned any of the techniques yet. We're just getting ready. We've been getting ready for 10 weeks now. We might meditate next week. Maybe. We might be ready to do so. So we're in the middle of all of these parts here, and there's 6 conditions. And the first one is having a good place to meditate in. Secondly is keeping your desires few. Like, don't want too many things. Then being satisfied with what you have. Not being too busy. Leading an ethical way of life, which is probably the key thing for all of it. And then the 6th one is giving up attraction to desirous objects and worldly pleasures. But I didn't say don't enjoy things. Okay, so we are in this section on, do you guys remember what the issue was last class? With the order of the 6? Anastasia put it in the chat, is the order that's originally given by Paboka Rinpoche, he switches it. And then we found out why he switched it. Did we do that? Did we find out why? I don't remember if we found out why. Well, we were supposing why 4 and 5 were switched. Why the teacher put them in a different order. And I actually think the reason he switched them is because he wanted to emphasize the fact that being a good person and following your ethics is what makes all of this work. Like being able to give up busyness, being able to have a less distracted mind is because we've already planted the seeds. It's not like you can force your mind to be like, shut up. If you've ever tried to tell your mind to shut up, does it work? Ooh. Uh-oh, I'm sorry. We're just gonna have to do this because I love children. Look at this. We have our youngest member in class today. Hello, hi. She's gonna be meditating soon. Yay. All right, just watch out. It's weird when, children learn things so much faster than adults do. It's really bizarre. She'll be like, Mom, it's coming from you. Like, shut up. You get your medicine back. It's always nice to get your medicine back. Anyhow, it's really planting the seeds. It's living an ethical life, doing good things for other people, just plain old kindness will then shift all of these things. We'll create a safe place. We'll create a less busy mind. So here we go. I think we did this line already, but we're just going to do it again because I want to do it again. And the first person to read is going to be Marina. Right here. Hold on. I'm going to give you a larger mouse options. Nope. Nope. I can't find it. Never mind. Here we go. Just starting right here.
Now, Genne Peton Yen Cha Yun Che Go Pa An Sam Tan Ten Kye Che In Pen.
Nice. All right. Just so everybody knows, just last year, Marina had her first time that she was reading Tibetan in class. Geshe Michael made her read. And she was so nervous and messed up everything. And now, a year later, she pronounced everything nearly 100% perfect. Okay. So just a year of sitting in classes, listening, and trying. All right. And she even corrected herself. She corrected herself on the pronunciation here, Samten. Right. So good job, Marina. So you all can do it too. All right. Let me get my notes up. All right. So having few pursuits. Nungje, few pursuits and few activities make distractions non-existent. Okay. Duh. The less things you do, the less distractions you have. Okay. Right. That is a Dharma advice. Of course, it has to come from karma too. Right. And we have to have a purpose in mind. And this is what we were talking about in Shantideva's class earlier. Why are you doing it? Why do you have few activities? Right. It's so good meditation can arise. Something kewa, the rising, being born in a way. So you're developing meditative concentration. Having few things to do creates less distractions. Less distractions create good meditation, supposedly. All right. So it's the whole point of the Lam Rim is to really look at our own lives. In what ways are we completely distracted by meaningless activities? And then if you become a good practitioner, then you can make things that look meaningless, into meaningful things. So then that's the trick. All right. Next reader on the list here looks like Kristen Deming. Where are you from, Kristen?
I'm from Germany, but I read last time.
You read last time?
Yeah.
Did you read this line last time?
No.
No? Well, good. But then
So I'll go again.
you get to go again. Yes.
Okay.
I love it.
Yay.
Someone else. Look at that bodhisattva.
I just wanted someone else to be able to plant good seeds. So
where in Germany do you live?
in Hamburg.
Hamburg. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Here we go. We're gonna start here.
Oh, okay. It's something like a sound in the back, right? With when there's like a little thing. No, okay. Do chung chokshe yana.
Yay. It's a BY
Nee.
or Jana.
Jana. Dongyung Baya Bayung Bachik Rangshuk. Nee, das war anders.
Mhm.
Rangchukye Ongshu. Nee.
That's Drupa.
Drupa Chejik Belpala.
Let's try this one again.
Yeg.
Che.
It's Che Pala.
BY has more of a J
J.
sound. Like
Jeep.
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 Yeah,
Che Pala. Kachi Dangma Mode Wrong
It's more of it's a weird sound. DR drung.
Drongcho Sokyang Sochiang Duchi Yinpa Hong. Nee, das war anders.
Honge.
Honge.
Nice. Good job.
Thank you.
Nice. After just a few weeks. Amazing. All right. So let me move this out of the way. I need this. All right, let me get my notes up here. So the word na means if. Okay. If we have, de is desire. It also means a couple other things too. But if we keep our desires few and we're happy with what we do get, there's an automatic karmic ripening that Pabonka Rinpoche seems to suggest. We will automatically have few activities, which is kind of cool. So think about it this way, that so if you look at that list and you think about how all 6 of those things relate to each other, he's saying, look, if you have few wants, like if you keep your desires few, like you don't need the new iPhone every year it comes out. Why? Like you want a better camera? Like at a certain point, our eyes can't detect anything better than what's already out there. And then when your eyes start getting older, it doesn't matter how the camera gets better, you just can't see it anyway. So it doesn't matter, right? So if you keep your desires few, then your activities are few. You don't need that much stuff. You don't need to do things. If you don't want it, you don't do it, right? So you kind of start seeing how those things relate to each other. And what I was saying last week, and I want to say it again, it doesn't mean don't have fun. Okay, it doesn't mean don't have fun. In fact, you actually start having more fun with the things that you are doing. Just want to separate these into 2. So, and we know people like this. We know people that are constantly busy. They're constantly doing something. There's always some plan for something. There's always something more to do, right? There's always like it actually, it like, I have a new friend and I really enjoy hanging out with him, but it's constant. It's like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? It's like, we're doing these 10 different things. And I'm like, can we just sit by the fire? Can I just read a book? Like it's a busy mind. It's like all over the place. And, it's so then the mind's all over the place. So the activities are all over the place. Right. So if we keep our wants few, and understanding how to keep wants few is also understanding where things come from. Like when you understand how to get money, you don't want money, you plant seeds for money. Okay. If you want a good relationship, you do things to create good relationships, like take care of lonely people, right? Then your activities are really meaningful. You're not running around on Tinder and then going to the bar and then going to the dance club and then going to dinner and hanging out with 20 people and blah, 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 blah. It's like shh. You just want to like pet people, like, you're okay. Like a dog, like, you, it's loud. It's loud in there. Right? You can hear it from some people. I don't actually want to pet people to calm them down. Just being clear, but I'm using it as an example, right? Calm people. Like you want to just calm people. I'm like, hey, can I just hug you and like stop this energy? Right? So anyhow, so that's the point. Who are you? Go away. Um, so by becoming single pointed in our spiritual practice, all right, when we become more and more focused, other activities just kind of start falling away, or we need to give them up. Okay. Things like, hold on, I think I don't know what that word means. I forget. I translated this 2 weeks ago and I didn't look it up. Oh, duh. Okay. Certain things become less meaningful, as so they say, and we need to talk about it. Karsi. Kar means star. Karsi is astrology. So pursuits like astrology. Men. Does anyone know what that word means? You should be able to recognize it. Medicine, from Medicine Buddha. Okay. Modeb is a divination. Like if you go to a lama. We talked about divination earlier. Like, oh, you go to the lama to say, oh, I need a mo so you can tell me what to do during my meditation retreat. And Pabonka Rinpoche was like, listen to the damn instructions and prepare yourself before you go into meditation. Like, don't plan your retreat a day beforehand. Duh. Like, don't come to me a day before your meditation retreat and say, what should I do? Geshe is very, he gets rough on people sometimes. Like, the instructions, prepare ahead of time. Now, if you want to know what practice you do, ask your teacher. And then the drongchok is it's kind of translated like city. Drong is like city. It's like a city, a place, like a town. But there's a busy activity that people can get into when they're a Dharma practitioner of like reciting, going over to sponsors' houses to recite the Diamond Cutter Sutra so they're happy. Right? It's like, oh, they want to hear the Diamond Cutter Sutra again. And so, there's these sort of village, they call them like a sort of despective term would be like a village ritual, like things that really don't help people. And it doesn't mean don't do these things. It doesn't mean, don't study medicine, don't, it's not what it's saying. But these things can become distractions. Like you can get distracted with doing all these little rituals for people, but they're really not doing anything for your meditation practice. All right. Where are we? We are in the next line here. Okay. Let's go here. Next person. Persis, are you translating? Okay, cool. Let's do this line here.
Đi rang re rang
Ta?
thả biểu là thắng phổ hảo thả sĩ
Chi.
chỉ chế bù
Gebu.
chế hòa
Gebu.
bù hả
Gebu. Gebu.
cái bù tem phá yin yang
Nơ.
nớ chế chế thể
Subchete.
sa chế thể.
Okay. So what's going on here? Nice, Persis. Yay. Persis, you gonna be in Kyoto? Nice. Then I will see you in a couple weeks. Yay. Okay, so Pabonka Rinpoche is continuing to tell us that that following such distracting pursuits like those practices we mentioned are not only distracting for beginning practitioners, but also Kebo Dampa, wholly accomplished practitioners as well. So basically what he's saying is that just following these distractions can bring great harm. It doesn't mean don't study these things. It's good to be a bodhisattva. It's good to study things that help people. Sometimes astrology can help people. Sometimes medicine helps people. Of course it does. You know, going into town to do a ritual can help people because they can maybe develop faith, you see. But understand what you're doing and why and how. If it's taking away from your single point of if it becomes an obsession. And we're going to learn about some stories here of when they became obsessions. Let's look at the next person here. How about you're translating, some of you, I don't know, are translating. I'm just watching your mouths. Okay, I'm skipping you. How about Natalia? Int rush BK Natalia. Natalia. Let's read this one here.
Wuton dan lama dampa nis lang gyalpo pekar gi to zams
There's some.
sam nas
Nay, nay.
ne kag smig all
So it's just these letters here. Mook.
mog all wa sku ce dela kags mug dong
Chuck.
rock that
They
Uh,
say. They say.
they say
Mhm.
Zisla
Mhm.
Gens te Chokma Grupa Sunk.
Good job. Nice work. Nice work. Okay. Here's another story. So Bhutan is a guy, Bhutan Rinpoche, and then Lama Dampa. Both of them were harmed by an evil spirit named Pekar. All right. How were they harmed by this evil spirit? So Tosam, okay. Chakmuk is it's like I translated it as beautiful pens, but it literally means like chak is iron, okay. So basically, you can say an iron pen, like basically gave them, beautiful fountain pens. Like think about like what would be a beautiful writing instrument, right? Gave them beautiful pens. And over the course of their life, the kusei, ku is body, sei is life. So it's lifetime, the body time. It's kind of a cool term. All right. I have an idea. I want to just check it before I say it. And it's interesting that they use the word ku. Why? What's another word for ku? It means body. And in Tibetan, this is something you just have to get used to, that there are different registers of words depending on who you're talking to. So ku is an honorific word for body. All right. So in Sanskrit, it's kaya, right? Does anyone know the non-honorific word for body?
Like five parts, like pumpo, or it's not.
Well, pungpo is the body and is the 5 parts of the 5 skandhas. The word is lu. I'll put it in the chat just for general. right? Good Rivas, Lu, right? So it's interesting here because he uses the word like body life together means lifetime. So over their lifetime. Why are we using the honorific? Who are we referring to? Pabolka Rinpoche is referring to two lamas, Bhutan and Lama Dampa. So he's using an honorific for high lamas that he sees higher than him. So when you get into Tibetan, you can kind of figure out who's talking to whom based on the use of honorifics. Anyway, over their lifetime, okay, over their lifetime here, they used 1,000 of the pens. They used up 1,000 of the pens. Okay, that's kind of funny. So this demon gave these two high lamas, which is interesting that he's criticizing them at the same time, but also using an honorific. So you got to think about it. Right? They used over 1,000 of those pens. Right? So this distraction, yang, right, prevented them from reaching the supreme goals. Chok is supreme. Chok Madrup means they didn't reach the supreme goals. So it's an interesting little commentary here. He's saying, look, this demon gave them beautiful pens. They could write and they studied and they wrote language, right? And they used 1,000 of these beautiful pens over their lifetime. But this mere distraction prevented them from achieving the high goals. And he also used the word hu, the honorific, for their lifetime, right? So he's referring to them as holy beings, ku, like Kaya, like Buddha body, like Longku, or Truku, like emanation body. All right, Nirmanakaya. So he's referring to these high lamas and said, well, they've screwed up and didn't reach the highest goals, but he's using the honorific for them. So there might be something in there. You can write a dissertation about that in the future. Okay. But basically what he's saying is, look, there's certain things that we do that we think that are good for the world that just don't serve any purpose. They serve a short-term purpose, but they don't necessarily serve an ultimate purpose. And we have to think about these things. It doesn't mean, again, it doesn't mean don't do things that are helpful. It doesn't mean don't learn how to write Tibetan. Oh, by the way, I want to show you guys something. When you learn how these words come together, okay? So how do you know what letters to pronounce and what letters not to pronounce? So sometimes two letters together will become a compound letter or a stacked letter. So if you guys can see here, let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see. There. Okay. This sama is actually one letter in Tibetan. It's stacked together. So you wouldn't pronounce this as smook, okay? Because these letters are stacked. And the stacked letters changes the pronunciation a little bit. And to be entirely honest, I don't know all the pronunciation. I'm not a real good expert at it. But that's what that letter looks like in Tibetan. So if you're wanting to learn the pronunciation, if you learn what the word looks like in the actual script, it can help you with the pronunciation. And additionally, once you learn the script and you learn what it looks like, it also helps you identify certain parts of speech as well. So like it helps you identify verbs and things like that a lot easier, in my humble opinion. So another word that you said, what was a word that you said that I wanted to, oh, this one. Was it that one? Oh, here's a good example. Let's use this. Let's look at this one. All right. So you can see that there's, oops, nope, that didn't go right. BRT, there it is. What? Okay. So this one does not have stacked letters in it, but you just have to learn. Like this is one letter, BRTZ. Well, BRT sa is this letter right here. So this whole thing together is this combination letter. B is a prefix letter. This becomes a suffix letter. You learn all the rules, but I'm just letting you know that if you can do the writing, the actual writing, then it'll help you do the pronunciation a lot better. Just a little side note. All right, one more story here. Little short thing here about someone. How about go down here? Kristen, are you translating? Where? Okay. Where? All right, Anastasia, you're next.
Okay. Gyalse tome sapo jan ninje somne shupe de la
What was this word?
com
Good.
comne shupe de la klakma ne lek
Let's write it out. Now
Oh.
pronounce it. Here's the first letter.
le
Lock.
lak. Oh, okay.
Right.
Lakmanye.
Nice. Good job. All right. So there was another bodhisattva named Tokme Sangpo. Tokme Sangpo, who was able to meditate on loving compassion, Jamyingje, excuse me. And he was able to do it often. It's not exactly that, but he was able to meditate ongoingly on loving compassion. And that same spirit was not able to harm him. It's kind of a cool side story. I wasn't able to find anything about it. But basically what it's saying is when your meditative concentration gets stronger, distracting forces don't affect you as much, or in this case, not at all. And that kind of makes sense. Like, let's pretend we don't believe in evil spirits and demons, okay? I don't know if they exist. We talk about it sometimes, you know. But an evil demon could be a coworker at the office. Okay. An evil demon could be someone who seems like your best friend. Okay. You know, how about that evil spirit who gave beautiful pens to Bhutan in Lama Dampa, right? Someone gives you a beautiful pen. Oh, you know, you've such great handwriting. You know, you should be a scribe and you should write Sanskrit out, right? You should learn to do that. Well, sure, you could don't, I'm not saying don't do it, but are people distracting you from the higher goals? And that's really the whole point. Look for the distractions. Who's taking you away from those higher goals? Who's taking you away from your meditation practice? and then figure out what the causes are and change it. All right. Francisco, next line.
Poke
Rinpoche.
Rinpoche. Yang Chung Po Ko Ya Polang Bula
Ula.
Bula Umpa Sohma Zapa Kong
Sepakong. So it's just say.
Sepa Kong I Brita
Mm-hmm.
Anza Tima Kienpa Min Rupa Nyamle Lanov Dokte
Mm-hmm.
Dokte Ma Zepayim.
Nice. Nice job. All right. So where are we here? Let me make my notes. So J Rinpoche. Who's J Rinpoche?
Zet kappa.
Jason Kappa. Nice. So J Rinpoche also composed 18 volumes of work. Okay. Choge. 18 volumes. Tremendous amount of work. Volumes, right? But he didn't compose in them. Oops. Dang. Sorry. What happened? These things called a sumpap. Okay. And what is that? The traditional 3 lines at the beginning of any book. So when you're composing a book, traditionally, you're supposed to have 3 different, you're supposed to write the title 3 times. All right. You're supposed to write it once in Sanskrit. You're supposed to write it second. You're supposed to transliterate the Sanskrit into Tibetan. And then the 3rd line is the actual title in Tibetan, translated from the Sanskrit. All right. So you're supposed to have these traditional 3 lines. Okay. However, he didn't write them down. Jason Kaba didn't write them down. One of the greatest teachers in our lineage who wrote a tremendous number of books, right? Clarifying incredible amounts of Buddhist scriptures, right? And he didn't do the traditional thing. Why? Okay. First of all, it's not Makempa Min. It's not that he wasn't already a master at this. Double negative. It wasn't that he wasn't a master of Sanskrit composition or that he wasn't a master of script writing and all these other things. He didn't compose it because it would become a distraction to his practice. Right? It would get in the way of him being a practitioner. And if he had to write all his down, he may have not written as much. Okay. Like he was, so like there's a traditional cultural aspect of writing the 3 titles, and he was like, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm Jason Kappa. Maybe Manjushri told him that or not, something like that. But the idea is, are you doing things because people told you to do things, or are you doing things because they actually help your practice? And that's something for you to check out yourself. And here's a confession from Paboka Rinpoche. And I didn't take the notes out, so we'll just leave them in. All right, who wants to read next? How about Janine? You got a nice long sentence here.
Okay, thank you. Gobo sa gup nam dak shipu anglo sik sam yang pa dutsmu bung in sam tang. Okay, okay. Nin zum sam jungpa
Mhm.
reng dutsei od de dak yang du zier ong ba la
Lei.
lei song ma lei yam leng la pang pa ma yung
Mahjong. Yes.
ma jung. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to go to the end here. Okay. Namlen practice, Penpa increased, Mahjong did not. Okay, so he's basically saying my practice, there was no benefit to my practice. Penpa can mean benefit, excuse me. He did not, there was no benefit to my practice. What did he mean? Okay. So I myself, so he's talking about himself, Pabonka Rinpoche, that he studied Sanskrit writing in great detail for a little over a year. Okay, Lochik. Okay. And all he did was kind of, it's a weird way of saying it, but he wore down his finger, right? Like he was writing so much that, like, when you like get a callus on your finger, right? He wore that down. And he wore out 3 boards, like 3 little tables that he was writing on, right? 2 or 3. He said 2 or 3. He didn't remember how many. So 2, 3, 2 or 3 of those wooden boards that you write on, right? So he studied it for over a year. His finger got worn down. The table got worn down. And he basically said it did little more than provide a distraction and then brought 0 benefit to my practice. All right. This is Pabonka Rinpoche saying he did all this and it didn't do anything for his practice. So I know, good luck. If you want to learn Sanskrit, it doesn't mean don't learn Sanskrit. All it means is don't do things that distract you. All right, next line. How about, people have left. They're not hanging out in the picture. How about Tanya? Tatiana. Yeah, that's right. You. I gave you a short line.
Detar
Nice.
Detarban
Bena. Yeah, Bay.
Detarban Ba Chang Tian Detsam Chin Lan Gun
Nun. Nun.
Dun
Hmm?
Dodan Gele Lava Chak Te Baminu.
Nice. Good. Nice, Tanya. Good job. Okay. I like this sentence a lot. Bakchak. Everyone remembers the word bakchak. Karmic seed, karmic propensity, karmic tendency, something like that. Okay, bakchak. Bakchaks are things that the karmic seeds. So if you make efforts in these kinds of distractions, okay, this is such a depressing sentence. We will only plant seeds that will result in similar results. Okay. So, which makes sense. And this is where the emptiness comes in. We'll only be able to do, they will only plant similar bakchucks. If we do distractions, we will have similar bakchucks, which will then ripen, of course, in similar ways. And then we won't be able to plant the correct seeds. We will not be able to plant the seeds for two things. Nunto and Nelek. So the Nunto is, it kind of means elevated states. Oops, sorry, I'm highlighting the wrong words. Elevated states, but what it means is higher rebirths, like being born as a human or better. So if you busy yourself with the distractions of this life, then you won't be planting the seeds for those things, for higher rebirths, or for the ultimate good, the highest good, which means nirvana and enlightenment. So basically what he's saying is, well, you can do all those things, but then you're not planting, you're just planting seeds for more busyness. Now, as I said in the beginning, you can pretty much change your motivation about doing anything and turn it into a higher motivation for these two things, Nunto and Nelek. But you have to have your mind there. And if you have your mind there, and how would you have your mind there is if you have single point in concentration. All right, next line. Let's see, who are we going to call on? Oh, we're going to call on Alona.
Yes. Desna buram milen pargurshingla chaks
Chakpar.
chakpar tardon gishin pomi rupar.
Okay, I like this sentence. So, Buramilen Parburshing, okay. La Chakpar, like Chakpartar, okay. So, like a person who licks the outside part of the sugar cane without tasting the sweetness within. Right? Like a sugar cane stalk. You're like, oh, it's sugar. And you're like, oh, and you lick the outside. You're like, right? But if you were to open it up and eat the inside, you would get the sweetness of the sugar, right? So basically, if you fill your life with these distractions, you won't be able to reach the highest goals, Ningpo, the essence of the goals, Dunge Ningpo. You won't be able to reach those highest goals, just like the person who licks the sheath of the sugar cane and doesn't taste the sweetness inside. That's depressing. You're like, oh my God, it's sugar. And you're like, right? And you're just licking the outside of the sugar, not knowing that the actual sweetness is much deeper. And I think it's such a beautiful line that, the things that distract us prevent us from actually tasting the sweetness of our practice, the sweetness of life, the joy of life, the bliss that's possible, right? If you're just licking the outside, You're like, and you think that's all there is? That's depressing. But if you could get inside a little bit, like get into the sugarcane, you know, maybe there's maybe someone can write a dissertation on this, and maybe there's something about the central channel happening here, like getting into the central channel, then you'll be able to reach the highest goals. But you can think about that later. All right, next line. How about Ksenia? Ksenia.
It's about me.
Yes, it's about you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Uh,
And how do I say your name?
it's correct, Ksenia.
Okay, great.
Okay. I am zero on this, so unfortunately, I do this at first time.
Just make noises.
Just make noises. Okay, thank you so much. Rik na pran sek la budon
Tabu.
tabu don chen zi la zon pa chi yet.
Che. This
Che.
is not che. Nice. Good job. For your first time, that was pretty good.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Rikne Trensek. Does anybody know what that is? Rikne is sciences, the Buddhist sciences. Trensek is the minor sciences. Okay. There's a whole list of them. I don't want to go through them right now, but there's a whole list. I think there's 18 of them. So he's just reviewing the chiche at the end here. He's saying we should ask ourselves why we should make efforts in significant. We should ask ourselves then, why are we making efforts in insignificant things? Chun chung, right? Right? Insignificant things with little purpose, just like the minor sciences. You know, and it's kind of I feel like it's just like a final like slap in the face. It's like, you know, if you didn't get it, you know, like we just need to ask ourselves, you know, slap yourself on the face. Why are you making efforts in things that have little purpose, that have no purpose whatsoever? You know, and then you got to figure out what actually has purpose. Okay, and then he has a really nice thing he says here. How about who has their picture on, their camera on? It's not a translator. How about Bettina?
Okay, thank you. Also my first time. Ka chik ga kok tu gyur ka yang da dung dot yon la bat son ye pa ni yin re pa na yin te.
Nice. Okay, so Pabonka Rinpoche says, after all of this and like kind of criticizing everyone, being like, you know, stop doing that stupid stuff, like insignificant stuff. Don't waste your time with these distractions. What are you doing? And he says, but we should have some compassion. Okay. And we should put our compassion on those people who still make efforts in the pursuit of sense objects, even though they have become quite old. Okay. So we should, you know, people who still struggle with this. Okay. People who have difficulties, people who are distracted by their sense objects, and people who are distracted by lesser pursuits, we still should have compassion. You know, it doesn't mean don't be one of those annoying Buddhists who's like, you're wasting your time with your life. You're not meditating every day. Oh my God, I'm highlighting the wrong thing. Okay. You know, you're meditating the wrong, you're not meditating enough. You know, you're not good enough. You're not following your vows. I'm a better Buddhist than you. Like, basically, Pamonka Rinpoche is like, don't karma blame other people. That's my favorite, my new sentence. Don't karma blame other people. All right. Don't be like, you're such a bad Buddhist. All he's saying is, look at your own behavior. Look at your own distractions. Look at the things that you do. Okay. What are distractions from you reaching the highest goals? I had this cool thing happen the other day. I was driving to Peachtree, and we're over time. And some kids were walking across the street. Right? They weren't paying attention and they just walked across the street. And I was driving slow, which we talked about earlier. Drive slow, right? And they walked across, and like one person stopped and saw the other two people walked across. And they were kids. They were like 18 years old, 16 years old, something like that. And I realized I had a choice. I had a choice of how I was going to react. I could have yelled at them. I could have done this, right? Or I could have just smiled and waved, right? And I just smiled and waved. And I was like, that was cute. And I realized there was this moment that went off my mind that I was like, because I chose not to get angry, I chose not to yell at them. I chose not to be like, you damn kids, I can't believe you're so irresponsible, right? I canceled all the results that would have happened had I done that. So think of your practice like, cancel the things that you don't want. You see, like if you want certain kinds of results, do it. If you don't want certain results, don't do it. So don't karma blame other people when you see them distracted by, I don't know, whatever they're distracted by, right? Just worry about yourself. Like, don't worry about what other people are doing. And then when criticisms come, when people tell you you're no fun anymore, just the criticism comes from something else, because you could be a meditator and everyone praises you, right? Or everyone can criticize you. Depends on your seeds. Doesn't matter. Do the things that matter the most for you, and then cancel out the things that don't. And then I like what Pamonka Rinpoche finishes there with. He's just like, just have compassion for old people who are still doing this. And I think what he's saying is, we're all old people. We've been around for ages anyway. We've been around and we've been doing this over and over again anyhow. So we're kind of old. Just have some compassion for yourself too. If you have some distractions, just enjoy it. It's okay. Cool. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining. We have our final class next week. And let's say goodbye. Ciao.
Bye. Thank you.
Dankeschön, auf Wiedersehen.
Danke,
Thank
Tim.
you.
Tschüss.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Tschüss.
Tim.
Gracias.
Thank you, Tim Lam.
Thank you, tech team. Thank you, translators. 谢谢翻译。
Thank you, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.